Hello, guys. This is Asia Nicole, and I am back with week 4 of Surviving the Family System. And this week, we are talking about the mother role in the family system. And with the mother role, we are recognizing the difference between concern, control, image protection, and information gathering. And so, the reason why this role can be so confusing is because number one, the mother role may sound caring while still protecting the system. And when we say the system, it's really that one specific person that she's protecting, or it could truthfully be the entire family. And so that second point is concern can be genuine and still be mixed with control. And the last one is this often influences the family narrative behind the scenes. And the key thing about the mother role is that a lot of times with the mother, you'll see her basically throw rocks and hide her hands. Or she'll play the very confusing mother. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. But in actuality, when you sit back and allow her to talk, that's when you're able to actually see, wow, so you actually do know more than you let on. Because the thing about it is, you have to read between the lines with people. So the mother slash narrator role is a mother who is, her main role is to gather information and soften the behavior of the protected person. And also, she is there to shape the family narrative, basically. And when you have this certain type of mother, it'll feel like, she's on your side, or it'll feel like she's listening to you and letting you vent and do all of these things. But what's actually happening is you don't realize that what you're doing is you're feeding a narrative to her that, okay, now I have something that I can use for her, to her, and honestly, against whoever it is. Whether you're the son, the daughter, the cousin, the aunt, it doesn't matter. One thing about this particular person is they will do whatever it is they can to make sure accountability does not reach them at all. And they will always throw rocks and hide their hands. So on this slide, we're going to talk about what concern versus control looks like. And so concern, it seeks the truth, respects boundaries, listens without collecting ammunition, encourages accountability, and it protects the vulnerable person in whatever it is that's happening. And for me, one thing that I have realized is that even though my mom wasn't, always the best, because, we're not always perfect, she was a very concerning mother. And a lot of the times we'll look at it as control, and sometimes it is that. Sometimes it's a mixture of both. Sometimes it's so much fear that it turns into control. Sometimes it's so much anger that it turns into, all of these other things. And so for me, when I looked at this list and I realized, like, wow, okay, my mom did have some concern for me. But, the fear of certain things also made her want to hold on tighter and, things like that. And so it made me look at the difference between someone trying to control someone, which is they collect details, reframes harm, pressures access, protects image, and uses sweetness to avoid truth. And a lot of times in families, sometimes you have moms who will enable their children. And with my mom, she didn't enable any of us. Like, in actuality, she pushed us to be who we are today. But because we all got off track, or we wouldn't take certain advice, it turned into something completely different. And so when you have a mom who is more so controlling, it's not going to feel like if there is any concern there whatsoever. It's going to feel like all they want is, what can you do for me? How can you help me? How can I benefit from this? What can I do to make you still do what I want you to do? And so we're going to get into the common signs of a mom who is used as a person to protect the family and all of those different things that we talked about in the first two slides. So the first one is their questions feel more like monitoring than understanding. The second one is family language is used while accountability is avoided. The third one is the focus stays on access, not repair. The fourth one is the story is softened before the truth is fully faced. And the final fifth one is boundaries are treated as personal rejection. One thing that I had to learn about dealing with family systems the way that I have is you are able to peep all of this once you learn how to control your emotions, not let everything get to you, truly understand who you're dealing with, accept them for who they are, and honestly just take yourself out of the driver's seat. Because once you are able to fully see all of these things and the common signs, because another thing too is that it was always there. Sometimes, we may have not paid attention to it, or we may have gave them the benefit of the doubt, but the thing is we always know. We always have, especially women, and men, if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure you guys have this too. But mostly women, we will always have this gut feeling or an inkling of whatever it is. And, sometimes it'll make you feel like, am I going insane? Because it'll make you really start questioning, am I doing too much? Am I right? And most times you will be right. 9 times out of 10, you will be right. And so that's one thing that I had to learn, because a lot of times we'll take those signs and we'll be like, oh, I was probably doing too much, or oh, I don't know what I was talking about. But in actuality, you were right. Because in the beginning, it's always there. It is always there. And so we are going to get into what this can do to you emotionally. Number one, it may make you doubt your discernment because the approach can sound overly gentle sometimes. The second one is you may feel guilty for having boundaries with someone who just truthfully seems concerned. And then the third one is you may overshare to prove you are not the problem. And that was one thing that I dealt with is I would overshare things, and I would most definitely, with the last one where it says you may feel pulled back into the family's emotional rhythm, because that's how it was for me. You always had like these cycles of we would get into an argument, something would happen, it would blow over, everyone is back cool again. And that cycle lasted for about a year and a half that I was there. And so if you're in this same situation, all of these things can happen in just a split second. Like for me, it happened honestly right after I had moved. But because I was so stuck in survival mode and I was doing things so that way I wouldn't have to face other things, it just continued to get worse. It continued to just weigh on me, and it continued to just constantly having me going into these cycles until I truly learned this is not what is healthy. This is not something that God has designed for us to go through. This is not something that I myself want to live for long term, especially while raising children. Because if you have children, that makes it even more strenuous on you. Because now you're having to think about yourself, you're having to think about what your children are seeing. So it's so many things that goes into this that a lot of us don't think about truthfully. And so the honest reflection that I'm going to give you guys is that a person can speak softly and still participate in a system that keeps you confused. And mainly what that means is even though when they're in your face, it may look like they care or they're, showing all of this concern. And a lot of times, I don't think women or men pick up on this. You can tell when someone is being fake concerned for you. You can hear it in their tone. You can hear it in how they ask questions, what they say to you, how they're talking to your children. You can hear it. But because, just like in the last slide, all of those things have like kind of distorted your reality or distorted how you think, it can make you feel like, oh, well, maybe they actually do care. And the main thing that we have to learn is that feelings aren't facts. That's something that my spiritual mom has always told me. Feelings are not facts. And a lot of times, us as people, and those other people can play on your feelings because they know that you care deeply. They know that, okay, if I say this, she'll soften. If I do this, she'll soften. So when they know that your emotions override you, that's when this right here can happen, where they can speak softly and still participate in a system that keeps you confused. And so we have to be very diligent on how we control our emotions. And so now I'm going to show you how to respond with clarity. Number one, you only answer what is necessary. That means you don't have to answer any personal questions. You don't have to overshare anything personal. You don't even have to tell them what's going on in your life. You don't have to do any of that. Number two is do not confuse warmth with safety. And again, you will be able to tell this. You will hear it in their tone. You will hear it in how they speak to you. You would even see it how they act in person. Like everyone has a tone. And if you really pay attention to it, you can pick up on it very fast. Number three is let concern be measured by respect for boundaries, which means, let's say I tell someone, hey, I don't like when you do this. And they'll sit there and continue to do it. That goes to show that they don't respect you. And I can give you a prime example from my own experience with my mom. When I first had my first baby, and I remember there was something that had happened, and I had stopped sending pictures and everything. And my mom, she never questioned it. She never, you know, got upset. She never made me feel bad about it. She never said anything about it. She just, I'm pretty sure she had like a silent, regret or, whatever it is you want to call it. But to me, that goes to show that she was respecting my boundaries. She wasn't trying to overstep. And in my mind, I'm looking at it like, oh, she doesn't call, she doesn't do this. But in actuality, she was respecting a boundary that I had set. And because I was looking at her through a different lens at the time, it was hard for me to receive that. And so that goes into number three. It actually goes into number four, which is keep child-related communication structured. And that's another thing, because when it comes to your children, you have to know how to speak, when to speak, what tone you should speak in. Like, it's a lot. And so that's why it's so important for you to learn how to control your emotions. Because just like me with the example that I gave about my mom, I wasn't in control of my emotions back then because I didn't know how to, and because I was just honestly still all over the place. Truthfully, I was still all over the place. And so it was very hard to even be able to say, hey, I don't like this, or hey, this and this. Because I was looking at her through such a different lens around the time. And so when you're dealing with a mom who is the opposite of what my mom was, it's going to be very hard to be able to set those boundaries or do whatever it is you need to do. And the final and last point that I'm going to give you is do not give emotional access just because someone uses family language. And that family language could be anything between, oh, we're all family, calling that person your husband, constantly using, oh, your husband told me this, or your husband wants you to do this, like all of those things, like it's designed to pull you in emotionally. It's designed to tell you, hey, we see you, we want you to feel included, but they really don't want you to feel included. It's just a cover up for the true and honestly final form that they're trying to get you to become. And so now the key takeaway for this week is not every concern question is harmless. Sometimes concern becomes a doorway for control. And the three things that I'm going to leave you with is listen for patterns beneath the tone. Boundaries can remain respectful and firm. And real concern does not require emotional access to you. And in next week, we are going to get into the sister slash brother role in the family system. And if you have siblings and you are in a family system like this, then you know that this is very, very important that you don't miss this. And so I pray that this blessed you. I pray that, it reaches who it needs to reach. And I pray that this series helps you guys just like the way it helped me. And when I made this series, I made it from a place of peace and a place of just knowing that God had me. And now I'm able to share it with you guys about how God made a way for me to be able to say, hey, daughter, this isn't what I want for you. Let me show you what better I have for you. And so, again, I pray this week blessed you, and I will see you guys in week 5.